Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. That's Rachel. And guess who that is? That's our best boxing friend, Abraham Gonzalez. Abe, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
hey, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, if you don't remember, just let me tell you a little about Abe. Fantastic boxing writer, awesome boxing community member, editor of nyfights.com. And now Abe has a new podcast.
Yeah, and you even have it pulled up here on your the Boxing Rush Hour show.
Boxing Rush Hour
Awesome
show.
graphic.
I've never had any kind of graphic of me that looks this cool, Abe. It's amazing. We'll put that link in the show notes, of course, for everybody, because you definitely want to check that out. But Abe, man, you're awesome. Just tell us how you're so awesome, dude.
Well, listen, guys, I appreciate that intro. Yes, I have a new position as the editor for nyfights.com. I'm really excited about it. Michael Woods, he's still the publisher. He's still the man there. But he just turned over the keys a little bit and said, hey, drive this bus now. And so I got it, and we'll go from there. And then now we have the Boxing Rush Hour show. I wanted to start a podcast focusing on the young prospects, the lesser names in the game, and those that contribute to the boxing game in whatever fashion that may be. So I want to highlight those guys and kind of like a breeding ground type of situation. Of course, we're going to have the A-listers and stuff like that, but really like the young guns out there and the club show promoters, get those guys a platform to get their info out there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're so good about that in general. You said platform. You do that for a lot of fighters and a lot of people I see supporting people in their platform. You've done it for us. You do it for fighters. I think it's great. I think that you're just a great person to have in boxing. I'm glad you're one of our best fight friends.
Yeah, so we got some questions for you since we have Abe, the boxing expert, on the show.
Ooh.
So looking ahead to 2022, the new year, what's like just the top thing you're looking forward to in the world of boxing?
Really just better fights. We have been on a trend. In 2021, we got some really good competitive fights, some of the ones that everyone wanted to see. And I just want to continue in that trend and in getting the big fights and the fights that the fans want to see, and not allowing, the politics of the game to interfere with it.
Do you think, yeah, that's the question though. Do you think that can actually happen?
I know. I think it can. I think it can. I think we're seeing it in a couple of different instances where people are quote unquote crossing the street. Even as of recent, where Nonito Donaire and In a Way 2 might happen, and that's a pro bellum top rank situation. So people are talking, and I think that that's a good thing. And as long as we continue to make the fights that people want to see, boxing will continue.
Well, let me ask you this, would these top fights you want to see continue happening, would that include Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul?
Oh, come on, Rachel. We weren't going to bring Jake Paul up, and then here she goes.
Saw that story the other day and I was like, what?
Well, it's funny because Jake Paul only exists because boxing wasn't making the marquee fights. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And so he will continue to exist if we don't make these fights the ones that everyone wants to see. As far as Canelo Alvarez, I mean, I don't believe that he's going to fight Charlo. I think that that's just, like him using that to maybe drive up somebody else's price. But, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Jake Paul, I tell you this, his next fight is probably going to be sold out because of the knockout from the last fight. So, knockouts sell tickets.
Yeah. And I honestly, I give respect to Jake Paul for what he's done. You can't fake boxing, right? You can't get in there with, I mean, even a guy on the street, go in there and get in the ring with a boxing ring with an MMA fighter and boxing, you're going to get whooped. So just that he could do that at the level that he's done it is impressive to me. And yeah, I love that you said part of the reason, at least part of the reason that he's had such a big impact is because of what boxing isn't doing. Boxing isn't making great fights. What's the one big great fight this year, Abe, that you think that you want to see? If you could make any fight happen, what would it be?
Honestly, Kelsey, I still think that there's two of them. I think that the Crawford Spence fight does happen this year. I I was hearing rumblings that it was being negotiated before this Ugas fight. And it might be a situation where it's already done. And then, depending on the outcome of the Ugas fight, if Spence gets through it, maybe then they announce it after that. But I really believe that Spence Crawford, I think that happens this year. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll never happen. And the second one is Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. I've been saying this for a long time, that next to Fury and Joshua is the second biggest fight in boxing. You're talking about two guys that have these polarizing profiles, right? And have this magnetic draw with their respective fans, along with that crossover appeal, because Tank and Ryan both have it in different ways. And so it's the biggest fight in the sense where commercially it can be very successful.
You think even with like Garcia's long layoff?
Yeah, he's going to fight April 2nd, I think he said.
Okay.
And so if that happens, yeah, he gets his fight in there. If he's successful, yeah, it's time to do Tank Ryan Garcia in the fall sometime. And I may sound crazy, but you could probably pack a stadium, like a football stadium, with that.
Yeah, I hope you're right. That's one I didn't expect you to say, and I'm glad you said it because I hadn't really thought about it. So we're going to play a quick game. Are you ready for a game, Abe? It's called
absolutely. Best
and Worst. I want to know, what's the best part about boxing to you? Your opinion. It can be your opinion, like whatever you think. And what's the worst part? Go ahead and with best first.
The best part of boxing, I'd have to say, is the different methods of absorbing the content, whether that's traditional TV, an app, whatever it may be. But having that, not having to rush home, not having to miss the fight because you work at a hotel and you answer phones, and you could have your phone on the side playing the fight, like those type of things. I think being able to just watch boxing in a couple of different ways is something that I like.
That's a really good point, because how boxing has been put out there has changed in the last several years, where we used to had a few players in the game, HBO being one of the big guys there, now no longer even a part of it. And now we have all these other platforms. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Love it. Now I think I know the answer to this, but maybe I don't. What's the worst part about boxing?
Well, you probably don't know. I think that the worst part of boxing right now is the social media posts where they talk about something is close to happening, or both sides have a handshake agreement, or we're inching closer to it, we're almost there, and then 2 weeks later it's, oh, the fight's not happening, it collapsed. That's the part of, I think we just need to get away from that. Tell me when it's signed, and when it's signed, we'll get excited. Don't tell me, oh, well, we're talking and this and price points and all of that. There's too many managers out there that want to argue pay-per-view cuts and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, I don't got time. Just tell me, hey, it's done. Okay, cool, now let's start talking about it.
For sure, I totally agree with you on that. Well, like I said, we're really grateful to have you on our show. We're really excited for you. Of course, you're a Marine, you're an editor, you're a podcaster. What aren't you? Hey, that's what I want to know.
Most importantly, I'm a father.
And a father. Yeah, that's wow. That's, all those things are amazing. All of them are great. You're great at all of them. We're grateful for you. I'm going to give you my best and worst real fast. Worst thing about boxing, the fights don't get made that I want to get made. The best thing about boxing is this new podcast, the Boxing Rush Hour Show with Abraham Gonzalez. We'll leave the links in the show notes. He's Abe. That's Rachel. Actually, Abe might be over here. I don't know.
Yeah, Kelsey never knows where to point when we do
somewhere. Abe's somewhere, and then Rachel and Kelsey. This is real talk.